Hi, I'm Josh,
And I'm Evan.
and we're here today talking about what is the big myth? Evan, what is the big myth to you?
The big myth to me is one huge lie being circulated around the country that is affecting a lot, so many different animals, and particularly potbelly pigs. They go by many different names. I'm pretty sure you can say a little bit about that.
Oh, there's the nano and the micro, the Juliana teacup pigs. That one's quite famous. I say a lot, they're not so much teacup as they are teapot pigs. But yes, this is really an epidemic that has spread mainly over the last few years with people trying to convince other people that these are the tiniest, smallest, basically pocket pigs. That's another one. Pigs that are going to stay around 15 pounds, 20 pounds, even 40, 45 pounds when full grown. That's one of the big portions of the big myth to me.
Gotcha. And who tells this big myth? I mean, we always come across in Cotton Branch these animals that were supposedly, going to be that small, like, whether that be 30 or 40 pounds. Who is telling that myth?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, it's not the people who become guardians of these pigs. They're definitely not the ones saying, oh, look at my 30-pound full grown adult pig. It's the breeders, people who are making money off of these animals by raising them and selling them to people. And that can be, everything from we've seen backyard breeders and flea market breeders selling them for, $50 to $200. We've seen them on Craigslist to these amazing, designer pigs that are sold online that, even stars like Paris Hilton and Miley Cyrus have purchased these pigs, and they're going for as much as $3,000 to $6,000, and these breeders are promising that they're going to be these teeny tiny animals anywhere from I've heard as little as 10 pounds, and mainly most of them go anywhere between 20 and 40 pounds.
But how could they make that claim though? They have to be, giving these people specific instructions so either they stay small or, how can they get away with this?
Well, a lot of it is one. There's not any regulation really on this, and there's no one out there saying, you know, no, you can't do this. There are these breed standards like there are for a lot of dogs and cats and different types of other animals. There are registration groups for pigs who will tell you the average size of a Juliana pig, the average size of a pot-bellied pig or miniature pig. But there's not really anyone regulating that. And then the way that they're keeping them small is a lot of these breeders, as it's something we personally fell victim to, was they're telling people to feed them just minuscule amounts. I've heard of people being told to feed them literally, several teaspoons of food a day. We personally were told to feed Oliver, our first potbelly pig, who was supposed to be no larger than 40 pounds. We were told to feed him a quarter of a cup twice a day and give him limited amounts of vegetables as snacks if he acted hungry, and to limit his intake of sugar and fruits because it was, quote, bad for them. And you had to regulate their diet or they would become overweight. Of course, to these breeders, overweight means anything above whatever the promised weight or weight range is that they're giving you. So for us, it would have been anything over 45 pounds.
Wow. And so, we're basically, if we followed those directions, we would be starving them and they'll be malnourished. I know that we always see on TV, if we look at, human beings in Africa, people that don't get a lot of food, you can see the signs of malnourishment. The head's enlarged, the belly's enlarged, and you could see that in potbelly pigs. It's crazy. Number one, they're getting away with it, and number two, they're going, unchallenged in most cases. And so, yeah, the big myth, this month you will see a lot of different stories where with breeders, with personal stories from actual pig owners that got that advice from the breeders, and you're going to see a lot of different things coming up.
The important thing here is the education aspect. And for a lot of people who currently have pigs as companions, we already know this. And yes, it is detrimental what we were talking about with the underfeeding. Our Oliver just turned 5 this past month. And a lot of these pigs that are people are being told to basically they're being told honestly to starve them. A lot of them don't make it to 5 years old. They're lucky if they make it to 5 years old. And every time I hear of a case like this, or now that we're involved with rescue, when we rescue a pig in this condition, I think, dear God, that could have been Oliver. He might not have been with us today if we'd have listened to what we had been told by a breeder, if we'd have listened to what we were supposed to be feeding them, and going back to the way they look. Absolutely, you have full-size pig heads on these tiny little bodies. And one way this is covered up a lot, by the way, is when you see all these pictures of pigs in clothes, in clothing, in jackets, and sweaters. When you see a lot of these online and they look so tiny, when I see that and I see a teeny tiny little pig and I see a full size pig head and I see them in clothes, that clothing is hiding something, in my opinion, in most of the time. And in most cases, it's hiding a malnourished pig body that if you saw the body, you'd be like, whoa, that does not look right with that head. Because, when we see pigs wearing clothing, it's clothing that barely fits them if this is a healthy pig. It's clothing that you can still tell they're pot bellies or they're larger animals. They're not these teeny tiny little teacups. So when you see these teeny tiny ones wearing clothes, if they're not babies, that's clothing hiding the fact that they're malnourished. And that's what this month is about for us, is just spreading some education and hoping that people that are considering a pig as a companion are fully aware of who they are bringing into their home and who this companion will be for them. That this is not going to be like a lap dog. And the commitment and the personalities of pigs, not only the sizes, but a lot of different things. And there's a lot of different things that go with this myth other than size. When it comes to, they make good apartment pets. They're perfectly fine being indoor pets and litter trained like a cat. They're great with children. They're great with dogs, and dogs and pigs are just best friends. There's a lot of other myths going around this whole industry of breeding pigs, and that's what we want to talk about this month.